secrets are revealed, Simone makes a decision, and it all comes down to Crown Prince Wilhelm's speech at the Jubilee. Hello, entertainment enthusiasts. This is Ray, and this is the Fandom Realm. And today, I am reviewing the season finale of Young Royals. This is Season 2, Episode 6. As always, this is a spoiler review, so just be warned. So before I start off with the review, I do just want to recap a little bit about what happened at the end of Episode 5. At that point, Simone comes to Wilhelm's room, and they're going to hook up. So, Episode 6 basically starts off from the next morning. So, we're going to start off this episode, and we're in Wilhelm's room, and Simone has gotten out of bed, and he's getting dressed. He's got something he's wanting to go do. Of course, Wilhelm is sort of wanting him to stick around, but he's basically got something he has to go do. Next scene, we go off to see August, and August is actually calling Jan Ulrich, and while he is a little hesitant, it seems like he wants to tell Jan Ulrich something. Apparently, the royals are on the move. They're trying to get somewhere, and so Jan Ulrich's in a hurry, and so August doesn't end up telling him whatever he was going to tell him. August is going to actually be interrupted by Alexander, who knocks on the door. It's the situation in the morning when one of the students comes by and does a knock on everybody's door to let them know what time it is and sort of what the weather is. At that point, as Alexander gets ready to leave, you can tell August has an idea. So he pulls Alexander into the room and says basically, hey, we need to talk for a second. We're going to skip to the next scene, and it's basically Wilhelm sort of agonizing over this speech. You can tell he really doesn't want to give it, and he's struggling with working through the speech. Now, the next scene that we're going to see is basically what Simone was doing. He's actually going to head to the stables, and he wants to talk to Marcus. And he and Marcus are going to talk, and this is one of those situations where Marcus wasn't very nice about it. He was feeling very used, although as Simone does point out to him, Simone told him more than once that he wasn't ready for any type of committed relationship. And it's not really something Marcus is going to accept. He's mad that he came to the ball just for Simone, but Simone went out and saw Wilhelm while they were there. Now, as Simone is leaving his discussion with Marcus, Wilhelm is getting a call from August. And August calls him over to the palace, and he wants to talk to him. Well, Wilhelm doesn't really want to go, but he ends up heading over, and he probably wishes he hadn't have gone, because August is going to inform Wilhelm that Alexander has decided to take the blame for the video, at least recording the video, and he goes into sort of an explanation of what happened. And this is something that I think was written specifically to tell Wilhelm, because what it does is by August telling what Alexander was doing, we learn what he was feeling at the time when he was doing the video, when he was taking the video footage. Basically, the idea that he was sort of having fun and then was sort of stunned when he saw who Wilhelm was hooking up with. And of course, Wilhelm is going to be defiant about it, and then that's when August tells him if they don't keep Simone from going to the police, then August may just have to reveal that it's been Simone who was dealing the drugs in the first place, because August has kept one of the pill bottles that has Simone's dad's name on it. Moving on, we're going to get to see that, of course, Felice, her family has sold Rousseau, and the new owners have come to the school to pick him up. And Sara's going to be working with him and not really wanting to let him go, but the new owners sort of force the idea, and we're going to get to see them put him in the horse trailer. And then we get a little bit of a conversation between Sara and Felice, where it's really one of those situations where Sara's really upset. Felice is trying to be nice because, Felice understands. Felice didn't have a lot to do with this. She probably should have kept Sara more up to date on what was going on, but she was in a situation where it was her parents making that decision. And finally, after talking for a few minutes, they are going to be in a situation where Sara sort of lightens up and is going to become more friendly back with Felice. Now, at this point, we're going to see Simone looking like he's leaving the campus, but we're going to hear Wilhelm yelling his name, and he comes up behind him and tells Simone that August has them in a jam. Someone had told him that Simone was going to the police, and so they found Alexander to take the blame. That's going to send Wilhelm and Simone off. They're upset. They want to know who actually let the cat out of the bag. And, of course, Wilhelm's going to call Felice. She gives Sara a little bit of a dirty look because, of course, Sara just had confessed to Felice that she was in love with August. Wilhelm and Simone are going to head off to August's room, but he is not there. They're going to head out to the shooting range, and August is out there shooting, and they're going to come up to him and basically demand to know who told him. He's going to not really say anything. He mostly keeps quiet. Felice and Sara are going to walk up. Wilhelm actually pulls the shotgun on August, and I know at that point everybody was probably thinking, Wilhelm, shoot him. I think everybody would have thought that. But Wilhelm's going to get really angry. He makes August get down on his knees. He's yelling at him. He shoots off in the air, and Sara, basically in fear, is going to admit that she's the one that told August that Simone was going to the police. Simone's going to look heartbroken. Sara tries to apologize, but of course he won't have any of it, and they storm off. Now, as Simone is storming off, Wilhelm runs up behind him and tries to get him to stop for a second. He gives him a big hug, but Simone forces out of it and leaves. Now, for the next scenes, we're going to get to see Wilhelm walking around. It looks like it must be the house where his parents are going to stay while they visit for the Jubilee. And he's walking around. He's looking at the school motto, things like that. He's going to sit at the top of the stairs. He's just sort of contemplating what's going on. And then he looks out the window as his parents pull up, and he's going to end up going down the stairs and giving his mom a big hug. That's something that's very interesting because, of course, he is mad at her, but he's upset, so he gives her a hug. Going on to the next scene, we're going to see Simone and his friends talking at the table. He can't believe that Sara betrayed him, and he's going to make the decision that if everybody else is just in it to protect their families, he's going to protect his family too. And so with that, his mom walks in and she tells him that it wasn't, and he tells her that it wasn't August who did it, and they just drop it. We move to the next scene, which is going to be Wilhelm and the Queen and his dad eating dinner or getting started eating dinner, and Wilhelm and his mom are going to have a small argument, but he's going to go off. He basically excuses himself from dinner and goes off to his room to get some rest. Now, moving into the next scene, this is going back to Felice and Sara. Felice is absolutely enraged by what Sara has done, keeping her relationship with August a secret, just going out with August. Felice considers him basically the devil because of what he did to Wilhelm and Simone, and so Felice is cleaning her room out. She's moving to another room. We're going to move on. We get to see August very stressed out. He's practicing the speech, but he's also having other issues. He takes some pills. He's really upset with what's going on with Sara. We're going to get to see Sara sort of contemplating something in bed really quickly, and then we go to Simone, who is now in bed. He's talking to Abe, and just saying that he doesn't know what to do with him and Wilhelm. Abe says, basically, only you can make that decision, but 2 years is a very long time. And they're going to end their conversation. They were talking over sort of like some type of app on their phone. And so that was a very nice scene. That was one of my favorite scenes in this episode. Now, moving on to the next day, everybody's going to get up. Wilhelm's practicing his speech. He's getting dressed. We're going to get to see Felice go into Sara's room, and everything is apparently packed up. And you see some things on the bed, but there's no Sara. We're going to get the royal family together this morning, and they're getting ready for their pictures. They're actually going to go in and practice their formation, what formation they're going to be in when the picture is taken. And that sort of leaves August out a little bit because he gets placed behind the principal. Now we're going to get some scenes of the royal family interacting with the people at Halerska, talking to fans and little kids and things like that. You're going to get to see some of the students sort of ribbing August about being in the picture and up there with the royal family, giving him a hard time. And then they're going to go in through part of the school, one of the buildings, and Simone is waiting on Wilhelm to come in. He sort of pulls him over into this closet area, and Simone finally makes the decision to tell Wilhelm that he doesn't want to lose him. He is okay with having to wait and be the secret if it means they can still be together. And then you're also going to get to finally hear Simone tell Wilhelm that he loves him. And I know people were cheering worldwide when that probably happened. I'll just be honest, I have seen some people who wanted Wilhelm to say it back. But this goes back to the end of last season when Wilhelm told Simone that he loved him, but Simone said, "Have a nice Christmas." And so this is sort of the completion of what happened at the end of last season. They're going to have a very close moment. And then, of course, guess who? Jan Olaf interrupts them and heads everybody out to get the ceremony started. Well, we're going to get to hear the choir sing that good old song, actually, while Sara is shown leaving the premises. And just to sort of complete Sara's scenes today, Sara actually gets on the bus. She was waiting for the bus for a while. She gets on the bus. When she gets on the bus, she calls the police and tells them she has a crime to report. Now, we're not really sure what that crime was. I'm going to be wondering exactly what she told them happened. And so, of course, we'll need a season 3 for that. Now, we finally get down to the speech. Will Wilhelm make the speech or won't he? And they make it look like Wilhelm's not going to make the speech. He's sort of nervous. He tells Jan Olaf he doesn't think he can do it. Jan Olaf goes over and tells August that he's up. And so as the principal is announcing for August to come up, Wilhelm, I think it finally hit him that, damn it, I'm the crown prince and I'm doing this. August, sit the hell down. And so with that, Wilhelm came up to the podium and he started giving the speech. It was not easy getting started. It took him a while to start. You could tell he wasn't all that comfortable. He's going to work his way into the speech, whatever the speech was that he was supposed to be giving. And then he hits a certain point where he says, enough is enough. And he goes on this thought that why are we so obsessed about traditions and carrying on traditions without figuring out if those are good traditions to carry on? And one of the questions he asked or pointed out was, we couldn't even change the old school song. And so Wilhelm is still giving the speech. He's going to pause, and then he tells everyone in attendance, media included there with their cameras, students with cell phones running, that it was him in the video, the leaked video with Simone, and that it was something that was private, and he did not want to share it, and so he lied. That's basically going to be the end of the speech. You have a lot of camera on Simone's face, and you can sort of tell what's going on and how surprised he is that even though he's already told Wilhelm that they could keep it a secret, Wilhelm has realized what he needed to do, and he has told everyone. So they turn around, or at least Wilhelm turns around, smiles at Simone. They smile at each other. Wilhelm turns back around, you get to see him look off to one side and then look down. And then in that fourth wall breaking action, he looks straight at the camera. Just like he did at the start and end of season 1, he did it at the start of season 2 and now ending season 2. With that, season 2 comes to a close. Okay, now that we're done with the recap, I do want to add some thoughts and reactions. At the end, I am going to give this episode a grade. I'm going to talk about the season as a whole, and I'll probably even talk a little about the series as a whole, and give, of course, the season a grade as well. Now, I've got to say, for this episode, a lot of things going on here. I really liked and thought it was sort of creative what they decided to do in this idea of getting Alexander to take the hit for the video, and plus they didn't exactly know who uploaded everything. Now, that actually is something that I'm wondering if that's what Sara is going to tell the police, that she knows August was the one that uploaded the video to the internet, or at least that she saw him in the library that night. But I had been wondering how they were going to stop that, or if they were. So I thought that was a pretty creative way to do it. And just the fact that you know that probably would have worked. Someone in a very powerful family, very little evidence. You have plenty of money for good lawyers. You have the royal family on your side, and you're underage. I mean, Alexander is really probably only supposed to be, 14 or 15 in this season. And so with that, I mean, they're not going to put him in jail for a long time. He's going to get a slap on the wrist, if anything. Now, Marcus and Simone, I like the idea that after their hookup, Simone was big enough to go down and say basically to Marcus, hey, we're not going to do this anymore. And, I thought Marcus was a little mean in his reaction, but he was hurt. And, I think that's something that can be expected when you feel like you're hurt. Although Simone did have a good point, told Marcus multiple times he didn't want a serious relationship. And so, we talk about communication. For Marcus and Simone, I think this was just another instance of people not communicating correctly. Now, I am going to be honest on one scene that I'm very surprised they did, and that was the scene with the shotgun at the shooting range. Just because of the type of show it is, and with so much out there with gun control and things like that, I was surprised they did this scene where Wilhelm pulled the shotgun on August. And, as much as a lot of people probably wanted Wilhelm to pull the trigger, we all knew he probably wasn't going to do it. But it's one of those things where, that was just such a tense situation. And you sort of held your breath while it was happening, or at least I noticed I did. And so the way Sara finally said that it was her, and then just the look on August's face, because you get the feeling he never said Sara told him. You got the feeling that Wilhelm may have been able to shoot him and August wasn't going to give up Sara. And as much as we hate August, you sort of have to respect him for that. And then, of course, he's going to go on and end up losing Sara. He does end up revealing to her that he bought Rousseau for her, but by this time, she's done with him. Now, going to Simone and Wilhelm in this episode, this is an episode that really stands out. They started out talking to each other as Simone was getting ready to leave Wilhelm's room in the morning. You have a situation where Wilhelm, first goes up and tells Simone, hey, you can't do this. August has a plan. He can get your father in trouble. And they are communicating and sort of listening. He tries to console Simone after they find out what Sara did. And then, of course, the scene, I sort of mentioned this when it happened, the scene between Simone and Ayub, his friend, when they were talking on the phone. I thought that was such an important scene, because we're seeing that Simone still loves Wilhelm. he's wanting somebody to try to tell him how to proceed. And then, of course, we get to the next day, and Simone pulls Wilhelm into that closet area to tell him that he was okay with being a secret. He just wanted to be with him. And then he told Wilhelm that he loved him. I'm going to tell you, I thought it was very ironic that Simone pulled Wilhelm into a closet area for basically them to be in the closet together, literally and figuratively. I thought that was a little funny too, to be honest. I would love to hear if the writers took that into consideration when they wrote that scene. And then just the idea when Wilhelm was making the speech, Wilhelm actually steps up. He does what he needs to do. I think he just needed that motivation of August getting up, heading to the podium, and then he realized, hey, this is my crown, buddy. Set your butt down. And he went up, and then he's going to basically take responsibility for and tell everybody that it was him in that video. And, you know, the only thing here, and I don't think it was a negative, is I would have written it a little bit differently because I think he needed to apologize when he said the lines, and I'm going to paraphrase here, that it was personal, it was private. Basically, he didn't want it public. And then he said he lied. I thought they should have had him apologize, but they decided not to do that. So I would be interested to also hear what the writers have to say about that. Now, next thing I want to do is I want to give this episode a grade, and it's going to continue on our trend of A+. I thought this was an excellent episode. I think everyone got what they've been wanting from back in the first season, and I'm going to give it an A+. I really enjoyed this episode. Nothing that I really disliked about it. It paces well. We got to see all the characters. They all played an important role, I thought. And in the end, we got what we wanted as fans, and we got to see Wilhelm take some responsibility when he made his speech. Now, the next thing I want to do, and I don't usually do this, but I want to talk just a little bit about the entire season and just a couple things that jump out to me. I'm going to try to keep this rather short, but I do want to just mention a couple things. First thing is, I love the series for its handling of major emotional issues. Fact of Wilhelm having anxiety, I thought they handled that really well, especially with having him talk to the counselor. I thought that was extremely important. And then with even Sara, basically, you don't see many characters who are on the autism spectrum being portrayed like Sara was. Basically, when you're that high on the spectrum, you can go out and interact and nobody really knows. But there are social issues, social cues that you miss, things like that. And so, you know, I think a lot of people can see themselves in some of these characters, especially young adults, you know, from, let's say, high school age to even early college. I think, and I hope people are able to see themselves in these characters and can see that, hey, all we need to do is ask for help, or, hey, I'm not so different than this character and look what she did. And so it's one of the reasons I really like this series. You know, it's one of those situations. It makes me a little sad that I know there's a large percentage of the population out there that will never see this series because of the themes that are being covered in it, especially here in the United States. You know, Young Royals never hit the top 10 in the U.S. at any time, and it seemed to be in top 10 in many, I think it ended up being top 10 in like 35 or 40 nations on Netflix. But if you're still listening to me rant on, share this story, share this show with people, especially people that you think might need it, because there are all kinds of people out there who are going through different things that this could be a show that could make a difference for them. Now, with that, I'm going to give this season of Young Royals an A+ as well. I gave an A+ the first season. I think this season was just as good. It may have been just a little bit better in my opinion. And with that, let's all get out there and hope that Netflix gives us a season 3. Now, I hope everyone has enjoyed the reviews and the coverage of Young Royals. Of course, this is the last episode, so please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and comment below. and I'll see you next time on the Fandom Realm.